On today's episode of the Path Monk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Pablo Pérez, who is the Performance Marketing Director for Admiral Media. Pablo, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to learn more about who you are, how far you've come within your profession, and ultimately all the great things that you and your team are doing at Admiral Media. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm also super excited about participating today.
Yeah, likewise. Super excited for this conversation and learning more about Admiral Media. So for all of our listeners out there, give us an insight. Who is Admiral Media and what is it that you guys bring for your clients?
Well, we are a performance marketing agency specialized in the app world mainly since 5 years ago, I would say. So we work fully remote. We don't have any offices at all, and we are very proud about the company culture that we built through these years. And one thing that we have in common internally in the team is that passion for marketing, which we are also very proud of as well.
That's incredible. So now as for your clients, who are your clients? What industries do they mainly come from?
That's a good question. We have different specializations internally in the team. So we have people with gaming background with different revenue models. We have people with experience on subscription-based apps, some others with lead gen on our e-commerce. And when it comes to clients or industries, we take pretty much everything from, for example, crypto and NFTs to finance, health and fitness, dating and gaming. We haven't touched, for example, gambling though. we never know, but there are a few industries we haven't played with yet. But I would say pretty much everything, yeah.
Awesome.
And, yeah, sorry.
Oh no, I was saying that's great so far. Please continue.
Oh yeah, and we offer to them like an end-to-end solution for user acquisition actions or paid user acquisition actions. So within that package, we cover pretty much everything related to campaign management and campaign optimization, strategy and planning, tracking, creative production and creative testing. And we are also planning to cover other services in the short future. So stay tuned.
Oh, exciting. When can our audience be able to see these new exciting things that are coming for Admiral Media?
We're still in the hiring process to build a few teams internally. We will start with ASO product, App Store optimization, basically. And we will be developing paywall, onboarding, and CRMs as well in the future. But we don't have a date yet, right? So it depends on how long the interview process takes and then how fast we can develop that product internally. But I would say 1-2 months would be reasonable.
Awesome. Sweet. Super excited. Definitely going to keep my outing and be following Admiral Media and all the exciting things you guys have going on in store.
Right.
Yes. So now, in terms of your clients, what would you say are your top client acquisition channels? Can you elaborate more on this for us?
That's a great question. So as you can imagine, so we work in the B2B world, right? So as you can imagine there, or at least it doesn't happen in our industry in particular, there are not too many potential clients looking for performance agencies in Google Search or Microsoft Bing tools, for example, even though there's a strong niche, because if they are looking for it, then they are interested in our service, but it's not massive, right? And I haven't heard too many people converting in our industry via display campaigns or paid social actions, maybe except for LinkedIn. So we mainly live from recommendations and word of mouth, right? So we try to go all in on giving our best to our existing clients. So afterwards, they try to, or they are able to recommend us to their network as well. So going back to the original question, I would say word of mouth and recommendations. But the real, I wouldn't consider that. I'd consider that as a real channel, maybe. But if I would need to name a user acquisition channel in particular, it would be Google Ads and LinkedIn these days.
Amazing. Thanks for elaborating on this for us. But I think it's really great where, word of mouth and recommendations plays a huge aspect because you always know that whenever someone comes to work with Admiral Media, they already know what to expect and they're excited to work with you as well. So that's always a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. And they usually have like a process knowledge or a company knowledge coming from the person or the company who recommended us to them. So they come up to us with some good standards.
That's awesome. That's really incredible. So now I want to switch gears here and I want to talk about who you are as a leader. So, with being the performance marketing director and with the wealth of experience that you have, how do you stay up to date within your industry and where do you go to learn and grow without feeling so overwhelmed? What works for you?
So the first point would be to identify. So basically, LinkedIn and Twitter became very interesting sources for learning to myself. So I try to follow relevant people in the industry, because I fully agree with you that it's super overwhelming, the content out there these days. So you need to identify where the content is coming from, which company or which expert or which person is publishing the specific content you come up with. And then if you know that person or company and you trust them, then proceed with the reading, right? If not, then okay, you can proceed with the reading as well. But if you can't read everything you come across with, right? So you need to potentially identify good and bad sources. So reading articles from LinkedIn and Twitter from the experts and companies out there is one of my biggest sources these days. Attending to webinars also is something interesting. And then playing with things in the ad network and testing things out there or the tools that I'm usually working with. Those two, like playing with things and testing things, will never be outdated and will always be my favorite, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that I have really taken advantage of as a marketer myself is just always, testing and seeing what tools work really well and then, how to integrate them into my tool stack as well. Like, especially with, how technology is always changing, always like figuring out that perfect balance of, what's going to work for our team and for us and which ones will not work. So I think it's really great.
Yeah, and actually, in our case, we are playing with tools every single day, managing our clients' budget, our clients' investment, right? Because we are a performance marketing agency. So we are in very well position to actually test the new features or the things that the ad networks release on a weekly or on a monthly basis. So I would say it's first party data.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So now my next question is, so with being the performance marketing director, what are the key tasks that you tend to focus on in a day-to-day work?
Well, I tend to get bored doing every single day the same thing. That's not for me, to be honest. So I'm very lucky these days that I'm still in a very dynamic role. And for example, I'm still doing operations and handling clients' relationships, meaning that I'm still managing campaigns, checking data, doing posting or activating ads in the ad networks themselves. I'm also doing internal account audits to try to elevate our quality standards internally and improve our clients' performance. I'm also leading the user acquisition, the BI, and the creative teams these days to try to upskill them as the performance director in the company. And what's taking a lot of my time since 1 or 2 weeks ago is interviewing. We have 4 roles open currently, and yeah, it's super time consuming.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And on the last, yeah, it's too much. But it's good. It's also good, right? Because it also means that we are growing as a company. So yeah, we need to find the good balance there. I'm also participating in the sales related tasks, such as calls with prospects, for example, right? Or pitching calls.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, you are busy with how many things you're involved in and being very dynamic, but I applaud you in the fact that you are able to manage all of this and being able to pivot where necessary. And especially too, I think it's great that you have your hand in every aspect of the business because that helps with the hiring process because you're able to see, okay, which individual is going to easily mesh within our team and be able to grasp and be able to pick up things as soon as they jump in. So I think it's really great, but I understand the hiring process can be very time consuming.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So now we're coming close to the end of our interview, and I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Sure. Shoot them out.
Awesome. All right, let's go. So, what is the one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to go back and restart your journey as a marketer today?
That's also a good one. I guess I wish I would have learned sooner that what I mentioned before, right? Playing with things always will teach me something and give me something to win rather than to lose. So I guess the piece of advice would be to play with things, click here and there and see what happens basically earlier in my professional career. And then the second one would be to surround myself with people who I can learn from and also share that knowledge with others to extend this knowledge chain that we are part of these days.
Yeah, absolutely. No, really great advice, and I agree with you. Especially with like surrounding yourself with people who can like help you grow, challenge you, and where you can be able to share that with your colleagues and throughout your professional career. Absolutely. So
Yeah, we are our own responsibles to set our limits, our boundaries in the professional career, right? So yeah, helping or learning from each other will definitely help your career development.
yeah, definitely, and it keeps you on your feet. It's always better to be moving and to be challenging, even if it's like even if it seems like difficult in the beginning, but it's always better to be in a position like that versus to be stagnant, because I feel like once you're stagnant, it can be very difficult to come out of that as well.
Fully agree. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So now, if there was one repetitive task that you could automate, which one would that be?
Oh, I guess I have this one very clear. It would be perfect. It would be in this privacy-centric era. It would be a perfect and precise attribution model without compromising users' privacy, right? So, in this ideal world without boundaries in technology, I would try to build a multi-touch attribution model, for example, considering online and offline touchpoints, if that is even possible. Because most of MMPs and ad networks are relying on last-click models these days. And with this SCAD network and Google Privacy Sandbox future or solution, yeah, tracking became a headache for marketers. So yeah, I would definitely try to solve that pain point.
Yes, no, absolutely. I agree with you. Am hoping that either AI or someone will make this solution soon. This will just solve everyone's pain points.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's even possible, but in that ideal scenario, then maybe it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who knows? Like technology is changing every day. So maybe it could happen in a year or two. We never know.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed. All right. So we're at the end of our interview today. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on PathMonk Presents. But I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything that we've talked about today in this interview, what is the one thing you want them to remember about who Admiral Media is overall?
We are the experts leading the user acquisition related actions in the app world.
Amazing. Pablo, thank you so
Yeah,
much
that
for
would be
joining
a
us
good
today.
summary, I'd say.
Yeah,
Thanks to you
definitely.
for having me, Maria.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for, walking me through what, Admiral Media does. And I'm really excited for all the great things that you have in store and super excited to, see the team growing and to continue to hear all the great things you guys are going to be doing in the future. So thanks again for taking the time today.
Thanks to you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Glad to hear it. And for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week on PathMonk Presents.